Okay, so today is Thursday, June 6th. It is the first Thursday in June, and I've got court in a couple hours, so that's why I'm just dressed up. I have another video that I'm just gonna do after this because it's pretty short. It's about Son of Godzilla, and I wasn't expecting to dress up when talking about Son of Godzilla, but I don't know, that's kind of funny. But just talking about my week, there's not a lot to say. I feel like that's kind of gonna be a theme until I take the bar. It's like, what did I do? I studied. I did a lot of that. Admittedly, not as much as I should have the last couple days because I was feeling really burnt out. I kind of just needed to, rest and recharge. But my schedule today is a little bit different, so I'm hoping that when I'm done, I'll probably take like 30 minutes, an hour or so after work to, again, just kind of like decompress, and then, all right, let's study. Like, let's really get into the weeds. Let's do this shit. And that actually sounds really exciting to me. Also, I think my car is supposed to be ready later today, so that's probably actually what I'll do after work. If the time works out, go get my car, put gas in it, because I needed gas before it went in. And gas is kind of cheap right now. Knock on wood. Aside from that, and then, get back with my car and gas, probably get something to eat, study. That sounds lovely. So what am I doing when I'm not studying or, at work? Not as much as usual. Normally I'm all right, this is the show I'm watching. This is the game I'm playing. Maybe I'm reading a VN. I'm listening to Worm. And, these are, my writing projects. It's a lot less. I'm not really playing anything. I'll play some multiverses here and there. It's a slow, floaty, sluggish mess. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't having fun or enjoying it. I'd also be lying if I was this game is great. I do like it. And there are some characters, if the data mines and the voice lines and all that shit is correct, there are definitely some characters coming up. I'm that's a character I would really like to play as, and I will definitely give them a shot. But, we'll see. Aside from that... Oh, yeah, and the other thing is, even when I'm playing multiverses, it's kind of also just an excuse to listen to more Worm, because I can play multiverses and not pay attention to the audio. I mean, it's the voice lines are fun, the music's fine, but, yeah, I can just hit mute, hit play. Worm maxing. Am I watching anything? No, every now and then Clay and I will watch a Godzilla movie. We actually tried watching Son of Godzilla a couple times and it kept getting interrupted by people coming over, but we were finally able to watch it. We haven't watched any Adventure Time since Daddy's building, or Baby's building a tower into space. Space is where he's gonna find his dad. Hopefully we do that soon. The bar has really kind of pushed pause on a lot of things. But I'm still listening to Worm. I finished Arc 19, I finished Arc 20, I'm about an hour and a half into Arc 21. I still want to do my, individual arc videos. But here's the thing. And I do feel probably today or tomorrow, I'm all right, let me actually, sit down and write my notes for those so I have them ready to record, maybe, Saturday or Sunday. So I can try to stay on pace of what I, talk about what I've read versus what I'm currently reading. And with Dune Messiah, I'm either not going to do a video on it or I'm just going to wait till after the bar. Because I feel with Worm, it's a lot easier to here's the shit that happens, and this is what I think of it, and this is what's exciting, this is what I'm looking forward to. With Dune Messiah, I'm I don't really know what the hell I want to say about it, because I liked it. I really want to make sure again, like I've said, I kind of just don't want a repeat of the shitty Fallout video. So I really want to know, I really want to make sure I know what I have to say and want to say, or I'll adhere to the Thumperian principle and not say nothing at all. But in 2021, I had the sincere pleasure of reading the Muv-Luv trilogy. Muv-Luv Extra, Unlimited, and Alternative. And while reading Muv-Luv Alternative, Clay and I would kind of have this exchange where he'd be hey, what's going on? How's Muv-Luv going? And I would just look at him and go, shit's wild, bro. Because if you've read Muv-Luv Alternative, you know that's the case. And Worm has really hit that. Like, it's not that the first 15 arcs aren't good, because they are good. I remember really not liking Arc 6, but for the most part, it's like, no, this is good. I like the pace. It's very methodical. Like, here's a thing that happens, here's a thing that happens. It's very much building, it is escalating, but it's still likable, it's still interesting. I like learning about the characters, I like learning about the world, and like how powers work with like trigger events, and the little bit you kind of hear about passengers and Manson effect, and I really like seeing the superpowers. But it feels like, since about the, I don't even know if I'd say the halfway, but like the quarter mark of arc 16, where it's like, it's not the dragon arc anymore, it is now Coil, it feels like the story has just been in a high gear where I am struggling to put it down. It has been so good, so interesting, so exciting. Like, arc 19, I don't know if it's my favorite arc. I still kind of want to say it's 16 because I loved all the shit with Coil, but 19 was insane. I remember I was texting my friend about all the shit that I was like, dude, this arc was so insane, blah, 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 blah. It was so crazy. This major character death happened, and I forgot about it because of everything else. That's how insane it was. That's how good it was. And then I started reading 20. I'm like, okay, this one's going to be maybe a little bit more low-key. And after all the shit that just happened with Echidna, we kind of need something more low-key. Never mind. We get... It's really not a lot that happens in 20, but the quality of what happens in 20 is insane. Like, oh, here's emotional catharsis, and oh, this is changing the entire dynamic of the story and the main character going forward. Let's go. So I'm still reading Worm, like, during the studying. When it comes to writing, just the way I'm doing this with my hands, like, I guess I'm in my Coil phase. I love a chord. This fucking... If Adrian Monk and Jigsaw were the same person, he would be a chord. I'm like, this guy's perfect. Anyways, when it comes to writing, so I've talked about how Severance is the VN, or Calcum is the manuscript. So, I think I had said this already, like, Clay and I had like a pretty in-depth conversation when it came to Severance. Like, okay, so what are the parts of the story and the characters that really don't work? And I was working on fixing those. I feel like I addressed the majority of those issues. I was like, okay, now I also have to make my other edits to the manuscript, or it's not really a manuscript, it's like a script. But like, make my edits to the script. It'll make sure everything is consistent with how the characters are designed, because now that we have designs for most of them, I have a stronger visual. It's not even just I have a stronger visual, it's an actual concrete visual that I need to make sure they adhere to, with some of like the changes in the lore and the magic system, make sure that I adhere to those. And also, does it read well? Are there parts where I, as a reader, am going, this part's kind of weird or kind of drags, because that's shit that I know I need to fit, like either cut it or fix it. Doing stuff like that. When it comes to Orichalcum, I had mentioned that I had an editor look at the first chapter and my query letter, and I was really looking forward to the feedback. And I got that was Friday, like Friday morning. And I'll admit, wasn't the most positive, but it was very encouraging. It was like, okay, here's the things that work. Here's the elements of this first chapter that don't. And here's how I think you could make it better. And if I was looking at, like, if I was given this as an agent, I don't think I would accept it. I think I would pass on it. Which, of course, is not the thing you want to hear. It's like, you know, that sucks. But at the same time, I remember my reaction. Because my reaction wasn't, oh, it's bad. It sucks. Which, I'll be honest, like 3 years ago was 100% how I would have reacted. It would have just ruined my day. And instead, as I was looking through the critiques, I was like, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. Why didn't I do that in the first place? Like, I feel like this is what I meant to do, but clearly I didn't do it right. And then actually looking at the text that I'd written, I was like, no, she absolutely... Sorry, just thinking of Zoolander. He's absolutely right. Like, no, she's 1000% correct. I did not do this as well as I intended, Let me fix it. And now that I know what some of the weaknesses are, I know how to address them, and I can make this better. I can make this sharper. So I kind of did with Orichalcum like what happened with Severance. Like, okay, what are the weaknesses in this? What are the things that I think are good? What are the things that I, as both the writer or a reader of it, genuinely like and am glued to? Okay. What are the things that don't work? Blah, 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 blah. And I was able to come up with a lot, which maybe isn't the best thing. Or I'm like, okay, there's a lot of aspects that still need work. But I like being able to identify that. And as someone who loves writing and loves telling stories, there's the part of me that's a little frustrated because I'm like, all right, that means there's even more work to do. And I had already done a lot. I'd already, like, almost completely rewritten this manuscript. I don't want to do it again. But there's the other part of me that goes, but I can fix it. I can make it better. And I also feel like there's not a lot that I really have to rewrite. Oh, let me rephrase that. I feel like I'm going to have to rewrite a lot and just, like, really hone in. Kind of like I was saying with Severance. Like, what are the parts that work? What are the parts that don't work? What are the parts where I, as a reader, go, this is weirdly written, or this kind of drags, or as the writer can say, this really doesn't go anywhere, or in terms of really thinking about the lore and the setting, does this actually make sense? And either make them work or cut them. I feel like there's a lot of rewriting and, like, retooling that will need to happen, but I don't feel, there's definitely parts I will need to scrap because it's like, yeah, like, these few pages aren't very good, but it's not like, okay, it's trash, I have to start over. It's more of I feel like about maybe 80% of this works, like the skeleton works. I don't even say the skeleton because, like, there's a lot of other parts that work. Just need to tweak it a bit and really try to go chapter by chapter. Because even the first chapter, like, it's the prologue, it's 30 pages. It doesn't need to be 30 pages. Like, this, why? Why is this so long? Okay, there's like 3 scenes. The first scene I think is great. Need to make it better, but I can do that, and I feel like I have done that. What about these next 2? Well, this third one, it's a character meeting a lot of other characters, and I like that. I feel like it's important, but we're gonna see her meet these people again after the time skip because it's a prologue, so we really don't need most of these meetings, but this one meeting is really important, so if I can cut this and take this and put it here, I think it'll work. And the scene in the middle, there's parts of it that work, but there's these other parts of it that I don't think work, and I like thematically what happens, but at the same time, the implications are dumb, to put it lightly. I think I'm gonna have to cut this part, but keep the rest, and I can put this part here, and I think it'll work. Like, I think I can make it make sense. It'll make the chapter flow better. It'll also make the chapter a lot shorter, which I think is a good thing. Yeah. Now I gotta do this, like, 20 times because there's a good amount of chapters. I also cut, like, the entire last third of the book because I'm like, this, in my head, has always been more of the start of book 2 than the end of book 1. But the problem is, book 1 didn't really have a climax without adding that extra shit. I'm like, this is where it ends. But it's not, it's an emotional climax, but it's not like a climax. So it does kind of seem like the book just ends. But I finally figured out how to fix it. I was like, no, this is what I can do. Like, it's the climax. This is something that's actually built up a little bit. It's a big event, blah, 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 blah. And I can do this, and I can do this, and I can do this. I'm gonna have to write it all. But I'm excited to. This is fun. Again, it's like, I just read a word, but I was talking about, like, how much I like a chord. It's like, I see the problem. I understand how I can fix the problem. I want to fix the problem because I hate that there's a mess, but I love the satisfaction of cleaning it up. I'm like, hey, I know what that's like. I don't like that I can empathize with this guy. But there's that. That's definitely, like, tweaking orichalcum, like, really thinking about it, has kind of been the big thing of my week. And honestly, that's kind of it. So, I'm gonna go, and then I'm gonna record Son of Godzilla. Yep, the video. I'm not gonna record the movie.